Body language expert says King Charles's new portrait speaks volumes about his confidence. Last year was a difficult one for the royal family. King Charles was diagnosed with cancer. Then, his daughter-in-law, Kate Middleton, made a similar health announcement. Queen Camilla was forced to cancel events at the last minute due to a chronic chest infection. However, the 76-year-old monarch's brand new portrait may just signal that he is beginning to feel more optimistic about the year ahead. The royal family recently released a striking photo of King Charles that was taken at the royals' holiday home in Aberdeenshire, Scotland. According to body language expert and human lie detector Darren Stanton, the king has changed significantly since this time last year. Charles looks like a completely different man, the body language expert said, on behalf of Betfair Slots. In this portrait, we can see his confidence levels have come on leaps and bounds. Hello viewers, please remember to subscribe and click on the notifications bell icon, so you will be notified whenever we upload new cookies about the British royal family. Stanton explained that the location where the photo was taken could have impacted the king's body language. King Charles has such a fantastic connection, as do all the royals, with Scotland. It's such a rich part of their history and heritage, he added. Going to Balmoral has always been a very important part of the royal family. They play a massive part in the area when they are in Scotland. Charles is looking like a fantastic version of himself. In terms of facial expression and overall levels of confidence and energy, they're brilliant. Stanton went on to explain that King Charles's eyes are his most telling feature. The eyes are windows to the soul, he said. We can see clear compassion from Charles here, with fantastic eye contact. He's conveying the fact he is approachable, which we've seen in practice when he's carried out public walk rounds in recent months. The body language expert continued, in royal portraits, we often see a sense of aloofness, a distance, a very stern look. With Charles, he comes across very human, a much more real expression, particularly in the eyes. King Charles' 2024 royal tour of Australia amounted to less than half the cost of Queen Elizabeth's 2006 tour Down Under. King Charles and Queen Camilla's October visit to Australia cost significantly less than Queen Elizabeth's visit there 18 years prior. When Queen Elizabeth visited in 2006 a 5-day trip that included stops in Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne and the Commonwealth Games, it cost $899,701, £716,774, according to the Telegraph. In 2011, during what would prove to be her final visit to Australia, the Queen visited Canberra, Brisbane, Melbourne and Perth over 11 days. The trip cost over $1.6 million. £1,328,461. Comparatively, the King and Queen's trip 2 months ago cost $372,797, £297,000, which the Telegraph reported is less than half the cost of the late Queen's short visit 18 years prior. The total cost of Charles and Camilla's 6-day tour, which breaks down to just over $62,000 per day, includes travel, accommodation, meals, events, hospitality, transport and making flags, according to the Telegraph. The royal tour, which preceded a second stop in Samoa, was the King's first visit down under as monarch. The trip was adjusted to include a rest day as he continues his cancer treatment, which will reach into 2025 but is headed in a positive direction, according to a December 20th report from the palace. Charles and Camilla's Australia tour seemed to be well received by the public there, save for being heckled by a senator during a Canberra reception at Parliament House. The couple undertook up to 10 engagements daily and were welcomed by an estimated 10,000 supporters at the Sydney Opera House. Though they flew part of the way, from the UK to Singapore and back, via commercial airline, The figures of the tour published in the Sydney Morning Herald are likely to spark criticism from the Republican movement as Australia grapples with a cost of living crisis, The Telegraph reported. Australia's Resolve Political Monitor found that 31% of people thought the King, 76, was doing the job well, down from 45% immediately after the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth, in 2022. Support to make Australia a republic rose from 36% to 41% of those surveyed. And the King said ahead of his tour of Australia this year that Australia keeping him as head of state is a matter for the Australian public to decide. Australia remains one of 14 countries globally to retain the British monarch as its head of state. In 2021, Barbados became the most recent nation to become a republic, and Jamaica, which currently considers Charles its head of state, recently made a move towards removing the King in that capacity. In the UK, a recent Ipsos survey found that 43% of the British public think the royal family is a good value for money for the UK taxpayer. When it comes to dollars and cents, travel costs are among the largest bills of the royal finances each year, The Telegraph reported. For example, Charles and Camilla's 3-day state visit to France last year cost nearly $148,000, and a state visit to Kenya cost $209,000. For the Australia Royal Tour specifically, the bulk of the money was spent foremost on travel, accommodation, and meals, followed by expenses for event management and hospitality, ground transport, and expenses including a national contribution to the conservation project Greening Australia. King Charles cracks joke about his health as Queen Camilla deliver gifts from palace. Charles, 76, and Camilla, 77, attended a reception in celebration of community cohesion at Waltham Forest Town Hall in East London on Friday. Asked, "How are you?" by Sikh faith representative Harvinder Ratan, the King smiled as he replied, "I'm still alive." The monarch's quip came hours after Buckingham Palace sources told Sky News that his treatment has been moving in a positive direction and as a managed condition the treatment cycle will continue into next year. During the visit, Camilla donated 25 toys to Citizens UK, to be passed on to children living in asylum hotels, and a donation to a food bank was left on the King's behalf. The donation included Waitrose cartons of long-life milk, Christmas puddings, custard, and mince pies.